Pat Duckworth, the hot woman with cool solutions and the author of the #1 international best-selling book, Hot Women Rock: How to Discover Your Midlife Entrepreneurial Mojo. And to celebrate the launch of Hot Women Rock as an audiobook, I am talking to the 21 co-authors who wrote their amazing stories of transformation for you to read in the book. And today I am talking to Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. And Rhoberta is the relationship help doctor. She provides urgent and ongoing care for the partners, exes, and the adult children of the chronically different people that she calls hijackals. I love that. She helps them save their sanity and stop the crazy making. Even the United States Marines have called on her for their help. As a relationship consultant, educator, and author, Dr. Shaler reaches worldwide to help those in troubling relationships. She defines hijackals as people who hijack relationships for their own purpose while relentlessly scavenging them for power, status, and control. She offers the insights, strategies, and support that you need to reclaim hope, confidence, and probably your sanity when dealing with the constant uncertainty and the jaw-dropping behaviors of hijackals in your life, at home, and at work. And she's the author of 16 books, including her new ebook series. So that's amazing. Welcome to Rhoberta Shaler. Hi, Rhoberta. How are you doing?
Hi, Pat. Yes, thank you for the welcome. It's great to be here, and I'm doing extremely well here in sunny San Diego.
Yeah. And I am so envious. I met Rhoberta in San Diego earlier this year when it was February and cold here, and it was, as always, lovely and warm in San Diego. But you haven't always lived in San Diego, Rhoberta, so tell us a little bit of that backstory.
Yes, I'm actually from the west coast of Canada, where I raised my children and did all kinds of wonderful things. But I always had a plan that when my children I raised my children mostly alone. So that was triple duty. I had 3 kids, 10 years apart, oldest to youngest. So when the youngest was on his own for 2 years, I had promised myself that I could do whatever I wanted. And what I wanted to do was go to a big city and be warm and reinvent myself. So I did. That's how I got to sunny San Diego.
And as well as that huge location change, you've had quite a few changes in your career as well, haven't you?
Well, I have, Pat, but they've always been connected to a strong sense of purpose, which is to help people. I started out with a great intent from the time I was a small girl to become a medical doctor. But when I actually was ready to go to medical school after finishing my BA, turned up pregnant. And I thought, oh dear, okay, now what do I do? I can't put a child through this. So what interested me about medicine, well, there was little that didn't interest me, but what I was really excited about was diagnosis. And so I'm good. I have that kind of brain where I can take all kinds of pieces from all over, bring it into one place and find a path. So I switched to psychology.
And what's made you specialize into this area of chronically difficult people?
Well, that's a great question, because there's 2 things I could say about that. First of all, the obvious is that I was raised by them, I married them, I divorced them, and I'm an expert on them. But I never realized that. I was always interested in conflict management my entire life, but I hadn't really realized the depth of what I had been through and what I had attracted and why. Until I settled in this area, because people started coming to me, being attracted to me in my private practice, which spans the world, which by the miracle of Zoom, of course. And so then I realized, yes, that's because I had to transcend and transform as a result of all that I've been through. And the second reason for it is that I just didn't take advice early enough. I heard often enough that I needed a narrow, deep niche, but I I thought couples was enough, but it was never enough. It needed the full, I needed to be in a deeper space so that I could attract just the people I can help the most.
Yeah, so is that one piece of advice that you would give to a midlife entrepreneur, that really kind of precise niche?
Oh, absolutely. No, I was resistant to it because, of course, I can do all kinds of things. And yes, I still have lots of couples in my practice. But when you know what you're passionate about, like I get up in the morning and like, who's in my Facebook group? Who's been talking? Who needs what? Because I uniquely have the answers for those people.
Yeah. I mean, when we met back in February in San Diego, I was telling you about this storyline that was running on the British BBC Radio 4 soap opera that's called The Archers, where somebody was in a deeply hijackal relationship. And it stirred up a lot of conversation and debate. And there's even been a charity founded for women who are in this situation. So I think from that, certainly in this country, there's been a raised awareness of how these people can enter into your life and charm you, and then you find that you've lost control. Is that a common thing that you notice, that some of these are really charming people until you realize how much control they've got?
Absolutely. Hijackals are chameleons. They're emotional terrorists, in my point of view, and another author called them emotional vampires. But it's not like they set out to do these things. They're set up for it by their early life. And this is the only way that they know to survive. And they don't see anything wrong with it because they can't. Part of their life script is to be never making a mistake, always be right, always be perfect, always be in control, always have power over everything because they're petrified. It's like they have two fences that are going back and forth in front of them at all times, offense, defense, so that nothing can permeate them and risk shattering their egos.
Yeah.
So we have to have compassion for them, but as I say in my books, lots of compassion, but never condone or enable the behaviors.
I think that's a really lovely way to put it, because anybody that we see who has difficult behavior, it's come from somewhere. Nobody sets out to have that behavior.
That's right. It's a response to getting your needs met when you're young, right? And so we learn, even pre-language, we learn these things, how to get their attention, how to make the giants happy, how to keep them feeding us, how to keep them taking care of us. And we can learn to be extremely manipulative through that process. Mm-hmm.
The hypnotherapist who trained me, a guy called Trevor Sylvester, I was at a training recently, and he was talking about parenting and children, and he said, you are either training children or they are training you.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. And it's a situation where people can feel really quite caught and not know it.
Yeah.
They get into relationship habits that then permeate their adult relationships, and they're unaware that there's another way to do it. Now, the thing about hijackals is they'll seldom come in to get help, which is why I work with the partners and the exes and the adult children, because hijackals only come into the therapeutic process in order to tell me how terrible their partners are and get me on their side.
That's just so true. God.
Yeah, so I can see the light is changing here. So it's important for us to realize that hijackals are created, but not purposely. But many of them have hijackal parents, or they have abusive or alcoholic parents or neglectful parents, where the child has to figure out a way to survive.
Yeah.
And so they just do it intuitively. They do it. And it's really troubling, but that's what happens.
Yeah. Good. So I'm loving this work that you're doing. So it's Pat Duckworth, the hot woman with cool solutions, talking to one of the co-authors of Hot Women Rock, Dr. Rhoberta Shaler. So let's go back to your purpose. it seems to have formed with you really early in life, this whole purpose of helping people. When do you think you first became aware of it?
Well, I became aware of it when I was 6 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, I always knew that I had a spiritual purpose, and I had this purpose to help people. And it was something that was very clear to me right from that early age. And I just carried on with it. You know, it's never wavered. It's always been the same. You know, it's interesting when you get in touch with something that early, that you have some inquiring mind within you that says, well, wouldn't you like to do something else? And the answer is always no. I mean, I'm a trained classical pianist. I could have done that, but no, I don't want to do that.
But sometimes I think when you've got that strong sense of purpose, even if you were playing the piano, it would be to help people. You know,
Yeah,
because
actually,
it runs through you.
Yeah, I was told I was the first registered music therapist in Canada. So even when I had my music going all the time, that's what I wanted to do, you know. So I always had this abiding interest, and it's worked out very, very well for me and all the people that I come in contact with.
So if you were talking to other midlife entrepreneurs and they're not sure about their purpose, have you got any tips for how they can really get into contact with it?
Yes, yes. My partner and I wrote a book called Soul Solitude, Taking Time for Our Souls to Catch Up. And I think people are a bit loath, Pat, to just sit frequently and listen. You know, there's a lot of information that you can get about yourself if you just will be with yourself and sit quietly and know, not trying to do the right thing, not driven by money, not trying to do what someone else expects you to do or the society or culture thinks you should. I mean, heaven knows that when I go back to where I used to live and raised my children, the question is always, when are you coming back? And they're always startled to hear that I'm not, right? I have no intention. That's not my path. That's not what works for me. So it's difficult to step out and be different than everybody expects you to be. So, you know, get very, very clear and know that what's right for you is what's right for you.
So that sort of stillness, getting in touch with it, and being prepared to accept that purpose, because sometimes your purpose isn't what you expect and what other people expect, but it's your purpose.
That's right. And you have to have confidence in order to do that. And I don't mean arrogance, I mean real confidence, a trust, a deep trust that you know what's right for you, that you can listen to that inner voice, and you know, in the face of all opposition, you still follow that voice. And many people tend to be swayed by money. I mean, look at all the internet marketing that goes on trying to get the dollars from you. And how many people teach you that you need to be in a profitable niche, and you've got to, if it's based on money, it's not going to work, and it's not going to be satisfying. You're not going to be happy nor feel fulfilled. So take that out of the equation and then say, if it wasn't about money, what would actually fill me up? What would make me want to get up in the morning and go, hey, I get to do that again? Because as I said in your great book, people ask me all the time, well, when are you going to retire? And I work a lot. And my answer is always the same. I am retired. And of course they say, what do you mean? You work all the time. Yeah, but my definition of retirement is the time in life when you have the luxury of doing exactly what you want to do all day.
Yeah, and isn't that wonderful? I think it's Oprah who said that when you're living your purpose, it's as natural as breathing. And, you know, that's how it feels, isn't it? When you're doing the thing that you know you were meant to do, it's just like breathing in and out. You're just doing it all of the time.
Yeah, and it's not something that you question any longer. You just get on with it.
Yeah, it's true. Well, we could talk for ages, but I'm going to have to call a halt now. So, Roberta, it's just so lovely to be talking with you. Thank you for sharing all of that with me. If any of the viewers or the readers would like to work with you or have a question for you, how can they contact you?
Well, if you think you have a hijackal in your life, then go to hijackals.com and you spell that hijack, A-L-S, or hijackals.com. But if you generally want to know about my work, it's at forrelationshiphelp.com. And by the way, Pat, when people go to hijackals.com, they can get my free ebook, which is called How to Spot a Hijackal. Because you may be thinking you're just with somebody who needs more love, more patience, more nurturing, more you bending yourself into a pretzel. And if that thought is occurring to you, go and read the free ebook at hijackals.com and figure out if you're bending yourself into a pretzel that's going to be a permanent constellation in your life.
I've downloaded your book, Roberta. I think it's brilliant. So yeah, go and get that book. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you to everybody who's been part of this today. And so Hot Women Rock is now available as an audiobook. So you can even have all those lovely stories read to you. Thank you again, and join me for the next one of these conversations, which I'll be posting up over the next few weeks. Take care.